Welcome, everybody, to the Broken Ring Racing League. This is Season 9, Round 5 here at Brands Hatch. Got a big pack again. We got 39 drivers that have joined the grid thus far. We still have 7 minutes and 26 seconds left of practice for that to change. We got some new additions as well. In P30 in practice right now, Eric Stamp. That's a new driver, as well as Logan Brakey, Ethan Orr, Derek Ast. I'm not sure about that one, but there's a bunch of people that I'm looking at now and seeing some new people. I think Creighton Kale was here last week. As always, we got the Pax Oceani Alpha, Bravo, and Crab Cake teams for the fans for PAX. Going over on board, we have Trey Mistack in P1 in practice with a 122.471. Interestingly, we just looked at some of the results here. And pull that back. It's very close in the top 10. Very close indeed. We got P1 through 7 going with the 122s. P8 all the way down to P19 are in the 123s. Then you got P20 with a 124 all the way down to 20 or 31. So only out of the top drivers there from P1 to P31, not much is separating the difference there. 2 seconds. Going further back, a little bit different. The times are kind of creeping backward. You got some 125s that are still in the low 125s. Actually, the only driver is only in the mid 125s with a 666 of Creighton Kale on that back end. And then Guillermo Sainz, who's in the bottom of there at P37 with a 126, but overall very close, very consistent. Derek here is pronounced Ost, like Austin, but I'm not a stickler about it. Oh, well, as long as you're not a stickler. I'll try to do that right. Ost. And then I think pretty crazy from what I can see. Then you can go look at the gap there from P1 further down. Trey Mistack is a little. I didn't quite notice that, but there seems to be a little issue with the vertical ticker there for P1. I believe that's. I changed some things around, and I didn't notice there is something overlapping there. I think that says gap. That's an overlap. Unfortunate, but I think you guys will understand on that one. Further down, you have Trey Mistack from John Javecki, who's only a full 1 second off. That's 1.000, which is pretty impressive to be only just 1 full second, but with the same amount of time there. And we have somebody in, what is it, P18, Trenton Jump. He's sitting there in P18 at the time. Tristan J. Anderson is behind him. I'm pretty sure both these drivers are new. I haven't seen their names before. Blake Nave, he was here last week, I believe, as well as some of the other interesting new characters that we have that are joining us. We have 3 minutes and 38 seconds to go in practice, then we'll go to qualifying. Ooh. Let's take a look at that. Chris Schitterling providing us with a little bit of viewing pleasure here as he loses there on the exit. Let me get that back on track. Creighton Kale with an off track. How far off track was he? Extremely off track. Interesting about Brands Hatch is that there's only nine corners here. 9 corners, but a ton of names for all these different areas. I mean, right now we're going on the Pilgrim's Drop, which I can imagine big drop on this area. And you got Hawthorne Bend coming up. Then they have the audacity to name this Derek Minter Straight. I mean, it's a very small straight, but then it goes into Westfield Bend, which is what John Javecki's taking right here. Onward into the Dingledale, and then to Sheens. That corner right there is Sheens. And then this is Sterling. And then to the Clearways. As you can see, a driver going off of Cooper McCoy. And then that's Clark Curve. And the Bram Straight. I mean, it's a lot of names for one track. And I think it's an excessive amount. Onto the Paddock Hill Bend. Into the Pilgrim's Rise. But then you got Druids. Druids, I get. It's a good app name for this corner. Perfectly named. But this is way too many names for this track. This is the Graham Hill Bend. I'll admit that's a good one. Graham Hill. Because we got a driver, John Javecki, out. Let's go over to Eric Stamp. What did he do wrong here in this Ford? That's going to catch a lot of people out of bounds right now. I've seen already many of these incidences right there. Look at that. So you can see another driver goes off right there. Did you mention Dingledale? I did mention Dingledale. Over Chris Lambeth here, who is taking the Paddock Hill Bend. Where's... Yeah, Dingledale. That little kink that goes to the right. I was following Chris Lambeth, but he's crashed out. Elliot Burton going down the Cooper Straight onto Surtees. So I think I've just aptly recalled all of the names of these, either corners or straights. You know, the Pilgrim's Drop. It's a pretty good name for this. We're done. There's only 6 seconds left in practice. Tristan Anderson here, first race in the GT3 series. Looks like it's going to be a tough one. It's not that bad. I think everyone separated by 2-3 seconds in total is going to be some really good, interesting racing. I'm more worried about what's going to happen with qualifying. It's a very short track, and I think the traffic is going to be crazy. As Trey Mistack leads it off first. It isn't British, Italian, or Australian track without names instead of the numbers. That is true. I just think they put too much emphasis on the naming of this track. Brands Hatch, it's a beautiful track. One of my favorites. I would say it goes Spa and then Brands. I like the closeness of this racing on this track. Really fun for GT3 racing. And you got a lot of the fast guys that were out first. You got Trey Bissek, Peter Flanner, Justin Scott, JD Daniel, all out there, you know, seconds away from each other, and they are all pretty quick. Should I do this race? Absolutely. It's going to be a fun race. That's even going to make it more fun. Starting from the back, there's going to be so much interesting things that happen in this race. I am quite certain of it. As you can see, there's a driver who's exiting the pits, and that might compromise Trey Missek's flyer of a lap. And that is, no, Giancarlo. Actually, I got that one out. Giancarlo Manetti Schliemann. Pretty quick driver in the last race that he did. Didn't look to compromise Trey Mistak's entry into that corner. went wide for that. So Trey being the first one to go on a flyer, he was on pole in practice. Can he pull that off in qualifying? He already had to deal with traffic in turn 2. Hopefully no one else is close enough to him. I know Guillermo Sainz is up there, but he's 2.4 seconds up. Shouldn't be that bad. But with 39 drivers, Brands Hatch is going to look very scary. And the time separating these drivers. Ooh, he's already pulled 1.4 seconds on Guillermo here. Ooh. Didn't look too good. A little bit of a slide. And he's going to go again? Possibly. No, he's not. Oh, he's slowing down. Letting Peter Flanner go by. Who's going to take pole for the moment with a 122.8. Trey Misek in the 123 range, as well as every other driver in the 123 range. Is Peter Flanner just bends it into a wall. What could his teammate do, Elliot Burton? Not sure if he had any off tracks, but he didn't set a time on the board with that one, so that last lap, and that would have been, ooh, yeah, that's not going to count either. But I mean, going to see in the background, there's a couple other drivers that have made that mistake as well. You're calling it Mistak, Flanner, and Offen. All right. Well, so far we have Joshua Grasso of Narwhal Racing Team with Noah Hoskinson. He's sitting P3 at the moment. Jacob Simmons went into P2. So we know he was the winner of the last race at Daytona. He's got Jeff Lubisch just ahead of him. Little unsettled there. He's going to pull it in the pits. Where is the driver, Alex Offen, who has not set a time last? This must be either his push lap or he's going to have to go next time around. I'd gather this is probably his push lap here. Where can Alex Offen take this? Right now he's sitting in 24th with no time on the board. That'll go down the order no matter what. But I think he's got something here. Like you said, it is not wet. It is mixed conditions. The track is 20 degrees Celsius. That was not a time on the board for Alex Offen. We can see Peter Flanner is sitting in P1 still with JD Daniel behind, overtaking that 2 spot on Jacob Simmons. Joshua Grosso goes down 1. Trey Mistak down to 5. Chris Chitterling's up there in P6, and Christopher Daniel in 7. Trenton Jump as one of the newcomers this race. He is in P8, so we got a quick newcomer in the group. That's going to be interesting. Chris Lambeth in 9, Justin Scott in 10, Rodrigo Theory in 11, Dylan Maroney in 12, Jeff Lubisch in 13, Nicholas Mazza in 14, and Logan Brakey in 15. Another driver that has just joined us from another league. Ray Mistak, as you see, pops across the line with a 122.7. Overtaking Peter Flanner. And if anyone's wondering, yikes! That was Chris Chitterling losing the rear there. And only for a couple more corners to contend with. And he would have had that lap all nailed down. Got 3 minutes and 30 seconds to try again. Probably only have 1 lap to really put it together. Alex Offen goes to P5. And he's still going to continue. Go over to Paulo Langer. New driver introduced into the league here. He's got Michael Oceans behind him. Hopefully that's not going to compromise. Michael Oceans just parks it. or crashed. Can't tell with either one. Peter Flanner's still out there, and look at that. He overtakes Eric Stamp. That must be a new driver as well. The gap right now is 1/10, so Peter Flanner just has to find 1/10 as Jacob Simmons goes past. Yeah, I think traffic was going to be the #1 factor here when it came to qualifying. And this is probably Peter Flanner's attempt to really go for a flyer. He's got Jacob Simmons ahead of him, but Jacob Simmons is a fast driver. I don't think he's going to have to worry about, like, reeling him in. That is Eric Stamp. And so Noah Hoskinson, also off track. I would say, like, there's another driver who's really quick that's not finding the time here is John Javecki, who's been quick in qualifying, but I think people are just finding the traffic, not really showing the pace here. Like, Giancarlo Manetti Schliemann goes to P4 with his time with 123.155. It's really good. JD McDaniel just ahead of him by 1/10. Peter Flanner, can he respond on this one? Can Jacob Simmons respond on this lap? As he crosses the line, Jacob Simmons goes to P2. Peter Flanner down to P3. The separation, if you can see, folks, Alex Austin to P4. So he finds time. Is anyone else? Elliott Burton was one of those drivers that has time to gain. Trey Mistak still sitting in P1. Chris Chitterling goes to P8, overtaking 3 or 4 drivers there. And there's still time for Peter Flanner to make a move against Jacob Simmons. But yeah, he's ruining the prediction at the moment. And look at Elliott. He has no real traffic. Craig Carroll goes off in front of him. Oh! Dang. That is going to ruin someone's qualifying lap. And I was saying he had no one around him to ruin his lap. But now I said that too soon. Oh, boy. There's Peter Flanner across the line. What can he do with this one? That was a 122.8. It was actually slower by 0.02 of a second. And he just needed 0.02 of a second to be faster than Jacob Simmons. He doesn't get it, folks. And Justin Scott. He's still out there on track. 0 practice, 37th. Yeah, you can see the gap right now from that 122.797 from Trey Mistak is Jacob Simmons behind. And Peter Flanner, the difference is so little. Alex Austin would have had to find 0.2, so would JD Daniel. You know, Giancarlo would have needed 3.5. 0.35, I mean. Say. It's qualifying not officially done. And it's going to transition over here. But we got the grid. Trey Mistak P1, Jacob Simmons, Peter Flanner in 3rd, Alex Austin in 4th, JD Daniel in 5. Giancarlo Manetti Schliemann in 6, Ellie Bird in 7, Chris Sherling in 8, Joshua Grosso in 9, Justin Scott in 10, Christopher Daniel in 11, Chris Lambeth in 12. Trenton Jump in 13, Nicholas Massa in 14, Dylan Maroney in 15, Rodrigo Theory in 16, John Javecki in 17, Mike Braun in 18, Jeff Lubich in 19, Cooper McCoy in 20, Logan Brakely in 21, Eric Koonsman in 22, Andrew Korsecki in 23, Noah Hoskin in 24. And Christian J. Anderson in 25, Derek Ost in 26, Craig Carroll in 27, Tyler Kern in 28, Michael Shins in 29, Andrew Cody in 30, Ethan Orr in 31, Bryce Baumbeck 32, Blake Nave in 33, Charles Wade in 34, Steve McAllister 35, Guillermo Sainz in 36, Eric Stamp in 37, Paolo Langer in 38, Creighton Kale in 39, and Kyle Howe rounding up the 40. 41 is Ricardo Espino. So that's a mighty bit of a grid. And with this one, I believe it's going to be a full lap around to start us off, or standing start. I don't think we've ever had a standing start. That would be very odd. Mixed conditions. It is foggy. It is cold. The track's cold. You can't even see these drivers. But you could always see Beans. From far and up close. As they sit on the Bram Straight, we are about to go racing. And the pace car is about to start. The vertical is going to be the gap to the leader for everyone paying attention. And with the relative, that's going to be interval towards each other. As you can see, Trey Misek leading us out with a 0.0, no one ahead of him. Followed by the car manufacturer, if you're wondering who is who in this lineup. On the far right will be their last lap. So if you want to pay attention to what these drivers are doing as far as their last laps go, if the last lap doesn't exist, it's because they failed the track limits. Keep it within that white lines. I wholeheartedly am wondering how this is a big grid, 41 drivers. I don't even know if they're all registered in. They are. They're back there. Actually, no. We're at 39 drivers. 2 drivers have not are not on the grid. But it's going to take a second. Some of these, I think I can only record up to 36 drivers and actually jump to them quickly. This is the biggest grid we've ever had. I mean, we've had one, the bigger one was in Daytona, but there was a sheer split. I'm just hoping everything goes well for the drivers and for this stream. Thank you all for tuning in, and very shortly, we will get this going. Trey Misek has that inside line for turn 1 and turn 2, so I don't think he's going to have to worry too much going off the line. And hopefully this snake doesn't break down. So everyone gets going. Can Jacob Simmons cover off for P2? So far, it looks like he does. He's got Peter Flanner side by side. Alex Authen almost looking to take a place from him, and they're still going strong. And there looks to be a little bit of incidents happening in the sort of the latter part of the field. And Peter Flanner losing one position, and almost looks like he might have to lose another to J.D. Daniel behind. Stays ahead. Now Jacob Simmons is the one that has to worry about Alex Authen there. But can Peter Flanner respond? Not at this moment. And J.D. Daniel also has Giancarlo Minetti, Elliott Burton, and Josh. And there's some of these drivers that are still going side by side further back. That is Joshua Grosso looking to make a move here. And there goes Trenton Jump and Justin Scott battling side by side. Trenton Jump already up one position. He's got Justin Scott down one position. Is he going to lose another? He's got the inside line for the next corner. Is he going to keep it on the exit? It looks like he has it down. Justin Scott down another. He's got Chris Lambeth behind him in that green Ford. And he stays ahead. Oh, no. We're going to go to Elliott Burton, who was sitting in the top 10. Ooh. Clips the grass. That's going to be a bummer for him. Man. All right. Technical difficulties. It does not like when you do that. The pack is spreading a little bit in the top 10 here. Not much has changed. We only have a few people gain positions. Joshua Grosso's gained 2 positions at the start. Trey Misek leading the race, already up 2 seconds to the P2. Rodrigo Theory, who's up 3 positions, has Dylan Maroney up 3, and they're going to be battling out for P12 shortly. And further back, Elliott Burton making a move on Tyler Kern, gets ahead, down 16 positions. What an awful incident for that to happen. See, there's the testing of one's PC, drawing all these cars into play. Nicholas Mazda down 13. He had an incident as well. Go over to Blake Nave, who was towards the back of the field. And he's in the wall. And he's back out. Oh. This is quite the stutterfest. Trey Mistack is in P1, 1.7 ahead, and we'll get back to him, but he's doing pretty good. Giancarlo Minetti Schliemann takes the inside line on J.D. Daniel. And can you see that? Correct? Oh my! J.D. Daniel has a tire. What is that? J.D. Daniel has what looked like a full tire completely broken off sideways, but it's one of those streaming things. Sometimes it just happens. I've seen it before. Thankfully, his car is intact. It did not show him have an incident on track. That would have been terrible for him. So we have John Javecki facing off against Mike Braun, both up a couple positions from the start of this race. What's he going to do here? Tristan J. Anderson with an incident. Hopefully he's all right. He's in P27 at the moment. Go over to Eric Stamp. In the latter part of the field is still very close together. Not a lot of change has happened. Besides, you know, positions gained for some of these drivers. You got Paulo Langer ahead of this driver, who's up 8 positions. Eric Stamp's up 6. Ethan Orr's down 1. And then further back, you have some drivers really battling it out. Paulo Langer is just holding it together. He's trying to get past Michael Oceans, who's the leading Ford right there, that teal Ford. I think Eric Stamp's trying to have a go. He doesn't get by. That's Craig Carroll off in the distance there. The pace difference is pretty strong here. Taking a little further up the field, we have Chris Schitterling down 1 position off the start of this race. In front of him is 1 second up is Christopher Daniel. Trenton Jump is behind him. Not much has changed there, but we have Elliot Burton just got onto him before he made that move on Logan Brakely. He was down 16 positions since his mishap into the grass, but now he's taken back 3. We'll probably see him take a couple more, as there's Logan Brakely going on the inside and actually keeping it together. He's battling him out here. He's not going to let him just have this spot. But around the outside, he's got the speed. He keeps it ahead. Ooh, for the moment, and way too deep. On exit. In the grass he goes. He's going to have to battle this out even further. He's got Nicholas Mazza and Andrew Korostecki. And we'll go on board with Andrew Korostecki's. You can see in the front there, Elliot Burton keeps it ahead. But he's got to stay ahead. He's had a couple mistakes. And look at that. Talk about a move. Nicholas Mazza takes Logan Brakely into the braking zone, into that corner, and goes ahead. Now Andrew Korostecki's thinking, maybe I have a shot at this. As Trey Misek sets another consecutive fastest lap, he is really trying to pull away from P2 with those fastest laps. Burton with the top 10 at the end of this race, I will like to see that. He's got a sweaty group of individuals that are next to him that are also not willing to let a spot go. Down further back, we have Andrew Cody down. Blinking. And it'll get better, I think. Oh, man. It gets better. Just takes time. These drivers are still fighting it out here. As we go further back, Paulo Langer looking very strong. Still up 11 positions. He's got Eric Stamp behind him. No change in the order, though, from previous. Andrew Cody kind of leading this pack, pseudo-leading it, but just ahead of him is Derek Ost, who's sitting in P24. And all these drivers behind him are pretty quick. And unfortunate for Jeff Lubbock is he is down 5 positions from the start of this race, but he's keeping it in there. Andrew Korostecki has not gone past Logan Breakey, but he's still ahead of Jeff Lubbock. Eric Koonsman, what can he do? He's got Nicholas Mazza ahead of him, who's also down 6 spots from the start of this race. I believe he had an incident, an off, like not a full-on crash, but an incident. So he's got to claw back some spots. I'm sure he will get a couple more out of these. He's got Cooper McCoy to contend with. So does Elliott Burton. That's a 2-second gap to the driver ahead of him. He's up one more position off that. We'll go over to Christopher Daniel, who's now 0.2 off of Joshua Grasso. As everyone has been trying to sneak in those jumps on the inside line into turn 1 at Oak Hill Bend. He's going to have to abandon that. And Christopher Daniel of the Pax Oceani Alpha team, he is not leading the Pax Oceanis right now. Alex Authen is in P3, and he is part of the Bravo team. JD Daniel, just ahead of him, 2 positions, is in the Crab Cake. If they have a Delta team, I wonder what the name of that team would be. And Elliott Burton, who was 2 seconds away from Cooper McCoy, is now 0.7 away from Cooper McCoy. And Justin Scott is now, right there, 0.2 off. Something must have happened there because Cooper McCoy was didn't have Justin Scott behind, so he must have passed him. Pax Oceani Dingledale. That would be the team. Dingledale. Oh no. And the move isn't on just yet, but we'll get back to it in just a few. We have Michael Oceans going side by side with Paulo Langer. Ooh, the grass is not your friend, and he goes into the wall. We're going to go look back at Nicholas Mazza, who was sitting pretty pristine behind Elliott Burton at one point. He loses it as well at the Sheens. And then Justin Scott. Well, I guess we'll see what happens here. He had 2 drivers. Ooh! Yikes. And now we know why that happened. Mike Braun. And someone got by him. And then that happened. Drivers trying to get out of the way of that. Tristan Anderson, another driver who had a moment. Ooh. Not that bad, all things considered, for Tristan Anderson. He's going to fight his way back to the field. We already have some lap traffic. And Trey Mistack out in front with a 2.7 second gap to Jacob Simmons. With the grid this big, the pit thing isn't really working that correctly because it says anyone that's in the pits when the driver is going over the line, it will say, for whatever reason, I can't understand that one. I'm still trying to learn the programming methodology behind this, but Jacob Simmons got a clear gap behind him to Alex Otten with a 1.7 second gap. He's sitting pretty pristine. Peter Flanner in 4 after Alex Otten, and Giancarlo Manetti Schliemann still sitting comfortably with 1.4 second gap to JD Daniel. JD Daniel got past. Oh no, Christopher Daniel has not gotten past JD Daniel. The Daniel brothers, the Daniel cousins, gotta be something going on with those two. And no change out of those two. But Cooper McCoy has just been passed by Elliot Burton, who's now changed that to be a 9 positions loss for Elliot Burton. You can say one thing, it's a great recovery race for him right now. He's got Noah Hoskinson 1.3 seconds ahead of him. Going off the last lap, Noah did a 1:23.9. Elliot Burton did a 24.4. I don't know if you could really speak to... Oh. No, sorry. Yeah, that was their last lap. Elliot Burton's only marginally 0.2 faster on his best lap to Noah Hoskinson. So it will be a short crawl on that gap, I assure you. And if I'm wrong, indeed I have been wrong, we'll see it. We'll go back to it. Yeah, see that everyone's in the pits, but they're not really in the pits. I'm not sure what goes on with that. It could only track so many drivers. Actually, I understand what's happening there. Rodrigo Theory going to battle with, is that Dylan Maroney? And he gets by on the inside, but is he going to be able to hold it? Trenton Jump would be... Ooh! Oh! Yikes. And Dylan Maroney overtaken by 2. He just had a bad exit there. And that will shape up anyone to take your spot. The little mistakes here are what you can see people getting those passes done. As now Rodrigo Theory leading them out down the Pilgrim's Drop. Ooh. As we're going to follow Giancarlo, who was sitting in P5. It's unfortunate. Through Sheens. We've seen it before. You can see the remnants of other people dropping there. Down to P9 for him. So we'll go over to Trenton Jump, who's looking pretty quick. And look at that exit. That is Rodrigo Theory, who made a mistake, and now he's going to have to deal with this battle. It looks like it's already going to go to Trenton Jump. He's got the straight line speed. He's got the inside line. And he passes cleanly. We have lap 14 of 33. Curious to see if anyone's going to jump into the pit soon. And if there's anyone in particular you guys want to see where they're at, an update on them, just let me know. I'll pop over to them. Dylan Maroney looking to try to make a move. Oh no. That's Trenton Jump off track. And he's off track again as he crosses by. Ooh, and they're going to go side by side. That's John Javecki looking to pick up some scraps here. Is he going to get past Rodrigo Theory, who was looking extremely strong, having overtaken those drivers ahead of him, but now it's just sitting in the backfield. And Trenton Jump, 2 off tracks, but doesn't get punished for it, as these drivers are now battling each other. And looking over, Christopher Daniel, who is sitting in P7 at the moment. Chris Chitterling is just behind 1.6 back. He's got Joshua Grosso here. He's had Joshua Grosso in front of him this entire time. I don't really see a shakeup happening unless it's going to be a pit stop or an actual just mistake. Joshua Grosso, very strong driver. I don't see a mistake coming from him. I think the difference here from the Porsche and the Ford has been immense. We've seen that Ford just break away here and get ahead of some of those Porsches. We had a driver who was UI. Is that Joshua Grosso making a move? Oh! He makes a mistake and is punished for it as Christopher Daniel joins his cousin, brother, maybe his sister. JD can stand for, Josephine, Denise. I don't know. They are together. That's the Pax Oceani, Crab Cake and Alpha, right next to each other on the grid. They got Peter Flanner ahead of him. And unfortunate for Joshua Grosso, he's still up 2 positions, so a lot has been made. Over to Elliot Burton, who is sitting 8 positions gained. What? And he's got Noah Hoskins still in front of him. But that 1.7 second gap that I was telling you about, it is gone down to 2/10, 3/10. Last lap, Elliot Burton did a 1:23.4. Actually, no, he didn't. Let's look at this last lap here. Go over to Noah Hoskinson, who's sitting ahead of him. Previous lap was 1:24.8. And Elliot Burton, ignore the middle gap part. That's just the relative to the driver that's ahead of Noah Hopkinson, which is John Javecki. And even that's a slightly inaccurate one. It's close, though. Looks really close. But previous lap, Elliot Burton, 2/10 faster than Noah Hopkinson. So, definitely see something happening here. Was up 14 spots. It's unfortunate that you left. At least you could see the outcome of this race. And Noah Hodgkinson into Pilgrim's Drop. Sort of covering off the inside line down the straight, but puts it back on the racing line for the corner. Where will Elliot Burton try to make his move? I mean, what a run for Noah Hoskinson. Up 10 positions here. And ooh, he goes in the pit lane. Elliot Burton is going to go into the pits. Is anyone else in the pits? Trey Mistack is still out on this run. He'll come back in a second. It came back in a second. 2 seconds. That was like 3. These bigger grids are testing the limitations of the computer, that's for sure. I have to upgrade after this. My gosh. Trey Mistack. If I'm going to take a look at this correctly. Not gonna even bother with him right now. Go over down to Logan Breaky, who's in P19. He is the last of the drivers of that 1 to 19 that has uh, not gone in the pit lane. Chris Lambeth, who's sitting behind in P20, has gone in the pit lane. He's actually been in the pits for this is its third lap out. Going back even further, Elliot Burton is now down 24 positions in P31. All the drivers ahead of him have to pit, except for the drivers that are directly ahead of him. Bryce Bombach. That's going Carlo Manetti Schliemann in P8. Not doing too bad for himself after was in P5. Bryce Bombach did pit, as did Tyler Kern, as did Eric Stamp. And then after that, no one else has pit. So this could be a huge gain for Elliot Burton with the undercut, as it is, as he's, past Bryce Bombach there for the move. Let's say I'm looking at everything that's happening on screen, but I also have a leaderboard to look at. Trey Mistak is in P7 at the moment, so you can see a lot of lap drivers that are going through. And I think this one's going to be strong. Where is he? He finally gets back out there. He's got nothing but lap traffic for him. Craig Carroll's down a lap. So is everyone around him. He's got Trenton Jump, who's back by 5.1 seconds. Juan Carlo Manetti Schliemann. So now the top 1 through 6 have not pit. Behind him, he's got Trenton Jump and Justin Scott, who have not pit. JD Daniel has pit. He's got 2 drivers behind them that have also not pit. I think out of everybody here who's looking to make the most of this is going to be Elliot Burton, but he's only P28 at the moment. This still looks like a right gamble going for that undercut. We'll see if it pays off shortly. Trey Mistak's now in P6. He's 22 seconds behind the leader. And I don't believe the leader has gone in. He has not. But neither has Giancarlo here. Got Elliot Burton behind him. So Elliot, at the least, is going to unlap himself from the top 6 here. Justin Scott looking pretty strong here. Oh, he has not gone in the pit lane. He's in P8, up 2 positions from the start of this race, but he's going to lose a lot when he goes back to pit lane. JD Daniel is fighting in 4th position, but how hard do you want to fight a guy who has to go in the pit lane? Guess we'll see. And look, almost goes side by side. Through Dingledale they went. That is a driver of Ricardo Espino in the background, P31. Or Michael Oceans? Quite sure. Trey Mistak back at again in the lead. with a 2.2 second gap to P2. Peter Flanders got the undercut that worked. He's in P3 ahead of Alex Othen, which I'm not sure, but he's sitting in P20 at the moment. What went wrong with his race? Oh. That's what went wrong with his race. That's unfortunate. Michael Oceans. Westfield Bend. That was what we saw earlier. JD Daniel. Ooh. Fighting that Chris Chitterling in P7. Is Chris Chitterling going to have a go at him again? On the outside line. So we go on board with Giancarlo Minetti Schliemann. Just behind this battle for P6, JD Daniel keeping it ahead at the moment. The small mistakes will get you past. We've seen it through everybody so far. Hopefully he doesn't make any. And Christopher Daniel is in P3. The pit stop strategy was all different for these drivers. And that is a massive difference. Ooh. And we still got a lot of racing to go here, folks. Giancarlo is down 2 positions at the start of this race. I'm not sure he's really making inroads here on Chris Chitterling. The last lap for Chris Chitterling was a 24.360. Giancarlo's was a 24.342. Not much difference there in terms of pace. It's going to really have to find that one. Looking over at Elliot Burton, who went to pit early and undercut some of the other drivers. He's got a 3.3 second gap to P22. Those 8 positions lost before the pit stop. He's down 16, back down to 16. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him. And even more concerning, the lap traffic really shaking up the order here, because we have a lot of close racing. But look at that, they're going 3 right in the background, but I'm not even sure who that was. That was Noah Hodgkinson, Dylan Maroney, Jeff Lubbish, Michael Oceans, Ethan Orr, all kind of close together. But only Dylan Maroney and Noah Hodgkinson are fighting for position there. Actually, no, Michael Ocean and Ethan Orr are. Jeff Lubich is in the back. He's having actually to pull all the way for the other 2 that are battling. We got 2 battles on our hands, albeit on different ends of the scoreboard. It's the grid. How did Simmons lose so many spots? Give Simmons. I'm gonna say that he probably just had a bad pit stop. he pit Christopher Daniel had an undercut of the pit stop. He went in early on Joshua Grosso, Peter Flanner, and Jacob Simmons all pit at the same time. So I'm just gonna say he might probably put in too much fuel or something. Because we have Christopher Daniel now closer than ever, 0.3 off. And Joshua Grosso also getting in the fight. All of them are actually getting in the battle here. Battle for P2 is on. Simmons only lost 3 spots. Just a bad pit stop. Stayed in longer on his. But I mean, he came out right next to the other drivers. Looks like Joshua Grosso just had I mean, he pit at the same time, but he must have got him on the exit because he's ahead. It sounded like Will Buxton. Sorry about that. Through Dingledale we go. Yeah, you can't make mistakes like that. Whoa! Is that Steve McAllister? It is. We'll go over. He's trying to brake. You know he's trying to brake. Doesn't ruin any other one's race. Best thing you can hope for there. But it did change things up with that little air, crash. Peter Flanner and Christopher Daniel are going to be battling it out. They were closer, but everyone had to take evasive maneuvers. Slow down a little bit, make sure they weren't going to crash. Same with Joshua Grosso. He lost a little bit of time. As Craig Carroll exits out of the way there for these two drivers. He's still got a few more to contend with. I mean, everyone's bunched up here at Dingledale. Most of the drivers are in this section of the track. And there's some other drivers getting out of the way. Creighton Kale. But that is a battle for P26 that we're looking at. With that yellow and white. Can you tell? Ferrari? And we're to go on board with Christopher Daniel, who's soon not 6/10 difference. He was closer a couple laps ago, but I think the lap traffic is a hindrance to some degree for some of these drivers. It's really catching them out. Joshua Grosso was less than half a second away from Christopher Daniel. They've had to go through a lot of this traffic through the last couple laps, and he's 2.4 seconds back. Jacob Simmons is down 3.3 seconds. It is definitely making this race a little bit different for them. But that being said, Charles Whedon is 4.7 seconds ahead. He's pacing relatively well, so it's going to take them a while to catch him. And then they have some drivers that are in the pit lane. I don't have to worry about those yet, but they're going to come back out. And you can see on the last lap, the 1:23.262 from Christopher Daniel. He was faster than Peter Flanner. It's also sitting right there on the rear, so he's getting a little bit extra out of these corners and onto the straights. We haven't seen Christopher make a move on anyone. He's up 8 positions. I don't think I've seen one happen. And we've also not seen the Lamborghini versus Porsche. And just there in the background, a 6'10" separate gap there for the two drivers that are in 4th and 5th. And is Christopher Daniel reeling him in on the straight? Not really. I would say he's actually losing a 10th. He's going to have to find this time in the corners. Make a move that way. As you have Joshua Grasso hitting ahead in 4th. You know, and that's another one for you. Joshua Grasso, he had made a mistake and lost him some positions, but really put himself back in the fight, in contention for a podium spot. He's got 3.7 seconds to get that though, and closer than ever, 2/10 difference between Peter Flanner and Christopher Daniel, with Charles Whedon in the background in P24. Everyone finding the grass on exit. Not these drivers, but some of them have been making that known. We can see the damage that going off track does for your position. So you can see here, not really reeling him in, and then he's right into the braking zone. And that Lambo just a little bit extra power on the exit there into Druids. The sputters. Unfortunate. Going over to Rodrigo Theory, who's up 5 positions at the start of this race. Noah Hodgkinson just behind, 3.5 back. 12 positions gained for him. I'm truly curious as to what happened for Elliot Burton, who is sitting now 13 positions lost. But his pit stop was something else, because he was only -8. Now he's -13 again. And there's Joshua Grasso finding the grass on the exit, as this is the 2 laps to go. Oh, that was a white flag. This is it for the top contenders here. Is Jacob Simmons going to make a move on Joshua Grasso? On board, Jacob Simmons, Joshua Grasso, both in the Ford. No change yet. Chris Schitterling going side by side with Giancarlo, and they get a little snappy, but Chris Schitterling is going to have to concede that. We're going to go further up the field. Christopher Daniel is 2/10 difference. Trey Mistek is going to win this race as he is finishing probably across the line. But for the top 2 spot, man, that's a big skip. It is going to go to Peter Flanner. And is Joshua Grosso going to keep it ahead? He goes ahead of Jacob Simmons, who's in P5. John Carlo in 6. JD Daniel in 7. Chris Schitterling lost a position there to JD Daniel. The 8. Chris Lambeth keeping it ahead of John Javecki, Rodrigo Theory. All three of these drivers are going to cross the line 9, 10, and 11. And then Noah Hodgkinson in P12. Not much to have to worry about there. Cooper McCoy is crossing the line in P13. Dylan Maroney is going to go across into 14. Nicholas Massa actually maybe got ahead of him. I don't think so. That was Dylan Maroney in 14. Nicholas Massa in 15. Justin Scott in 16. Alex Authen in 17. Andrew Korostecki in 19. Elliot Burton finished in 20th. That's one that I really want to look back on and see what actually happened there. Andrew Cody is still out there on track. So is Ethan Orr, but no one's close to any of these drivers. And that is Christopher let's pull this results. Trey Mistak in P1, Peter Flanner P2, Christopher Daniel in P3. It looks like Trey Mistak is celebrating in the pit lane, doing some donuts. You can imagine. That's Christopher Daniel in P3, Joshua Grasso 4, Jacob Simmons in 5, John Carlo Manetti Schliemann in 6, JD Daniel in 7, Chris Schitterling in 8, Chris Lambeth in 9, John Javecki in 10, Rodrigo Theory in 11, Noah Hodgkinson in 12, Cooper McCoy in 13, Dylan Maroney in 14, Nicholas Madsen in 15, Justin Scott in 16, Alex Authen in 17, Andrew Korostecki in 18, Logan Brakey in 19, Elliot Burton in 20, Derek Ost in 21, Andrew Cody 22, Tyler Kern 23, Charles Reed in 24, Bryce Baumick is 25, Creighton Kale in 26, Eric Kunzman 27, Ethan Orr in 28, Guillermo Sainz in 29, Blake Nave in 30, Rodrigo Espino in 31, Jeff Lubitch in 32, Craig Carroll in 33, Eric Stamp 34, Michael Oceans in 35, Tristan J. Anderson in 36, Steve McAllister 37, Trenton Jump 38. Trenton Jump had a really good run. He was in, I think P11, P12, maybe even P10, if I'm not mistaken, but really battling it out there. It's unfortunate he didn't finish this race. Same with Paulo Langer and Mike Braun. I think everyone was doing really well out there. Paulo Langer was, scrapping it out in the low teens. Finishes in P39, and Mike Braun in 40. Kyle Howard, I don't even think he actually entered this race. But there you have it, folks. That is this race. Round 6 is going to commence next weekend, or next Sunday. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate everyone that was in the comment section. Like everything, just follow again. And have a good night.